Welcome back to Building the Pride. I am your host, Drew, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Coates, or in this case, Brian Coates, and not Michael Coates. Brian, how are you?
Great. Glad to be here.
I am thrilled to have you. So, you and I met, 4 years ago now?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. And we met at our mutual friend Mike's house when you came over to watch the NFL draft with us. Or I came over to watch the NFL draft with you is probably way more accurate. And now it's a tradition. And we broadcast it for other people to watch. So I'm thrilled that you can join me. Mike is on vacation. He doesn't care about us nearly as much as you do. And not that I'm upset about it at all. And we are going to talk primarily about he always makes a show banner. But I don't do that very well. We're going to talk primarily about the past Brad Holmes draft classes and see where those players are, whether or not they were good picks or bad picks, and just basically talk a little football today. So we'll try and keep it to around an hour and see what the chat's thinking and feeling. And you said you've got some questions for me, so I'm looking forward to it.
All right.
So let's start here. We had quote unquote breaking news. The New York Giants, the New York Football Giants, are signing quarterback Russell Wilson to a 1-year deal worth up to $21 million with $10.5 million guaranteed. It says here that Wilson had been engaged in discussions with the Giants, Browns, Steelers, but is opting for New York for no apparently good reason. He is projected to be the Giants starting quarterback. Brian, thoughts? Good deal, bad deal?
I don't know. I think that they've got two guys there that could turn out and make decent plays between Wilson and Winston. Daboll's been good quarterbacks in the past. Who knows what he might be able to do with one of these guys? Maybe Winston's a better choice for him. Mm-hmm. But somebody was going to have an empty chair at the end of this, and I think they were starting to get scared because now Pittsburgh's the one that might have that empty chair for the quarterback.
So, as I see it, and I'll see if you feel the same way, the two teams who have effectively no good option at quarterback right now in the NFL are the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yep.
So are we thinking Aaron Rodgers is the likely week 1 starter as a Pittsburgh Steeler?
I think if he wanted to play again, it's his best option. But I don't know. He might decide to just call it. I don't know. You could also include Tennessee in that, but obviously they're picking number 1.
Right.
They don't really have a great option either.
Sure.
I thought they might try to trade Levis. Maybe they did, and there just weren't any takers. He's maybe a better option than Russell Wilson and Winston, but not sure about that. We'll see.
Okay. So let's assume for just a second. Oh, Danny Coates. There have been reports that money is the only thing Rodgers back from holding Rodgers, the only thing preventing Rodgers from signing with the Steelers. So, it's interesting. So, if that's true, let's assume Danny's right. And Pittsburgh doesn't pony up the money that Aaron Rodgers is looking for. Do you think that he will sit down, and join Pat McAfee on his show every week? Or
I do actually.
Yeah,
I do. I think that if I were him, knowing that he's a vet, he's played for many years, and he's older, so the length of a season might be a problem for him. He might sit back and wait for somebody to get injured and is looking for somebody to step in and make a playoff run for him.
Gotcha. That's interesting. So we don't think that he's going to Cleveland.
I can't imagine.
Right. Yeah, right. So what does that leave Cleveland to do at quarterback? So I've heard that the Falcons have not cut Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
And if they do cut him, they are taking, I believe, a very large dead cap hit when they're already facing a really large dead cap hit. No. I'm getting my teams mixed up here. I was going to say they're going to take a big cap hit when they're already facing one from Deshaun Watson, but he doesn't play for Atlanta. Let's see. If they were to trade him before June 1st, they're going to take a $37.5 million cap hit. And I guess if they do it after June 1st, it's only 12.5. So I guess they could be playing the waiting game to move him off their books. But if you're Cleveland, are you going to wait through the NFL draft just for the hope that you can trade for Kirk Cousins?
I guess that would go how their visit with Sanders went.
Sure.
He's definitely a guy that has got some mixed reviews out there as far as what GMs are saying about him. So, it's going to be interesting to see where he goes. I think that they might pass on him or trade back.
Interesting.
And gamble for a year that they can either take Kirk Cousins or take somebody in the second round like a Jackson Dart and see what happens there. So it just depends on how they feel about Sanders when he came into the building. I'm sure that they're going to do an interview with him.
Yeah, I agree. I heard something when I was listening to The Athletic. They do a podcast, a pretty good one. And they said that the Giants had a representative at every one of Colorado's games this past season, home and away. Yep. So they've literally watched Shedeur Sanders all season long. And to go and sign 2 QBs when you have that kind of presence at a college player's games seems weird to me. I think, for those who don't know, Brian and I and my buddy Mike and the number one commenter in the chat, Danny Coates, we all get together on draft night and we do a little gambling. We're seeing a little cheddar cheese on each draft pick. And Brian, I'm worried that this unknowable quarterback situation after number 1 is going to trip us all up. And
oh yeah,
I'm terrified of not getting the money, So the whole Shedeur Sanders thing, I think is whoever guesses that correctly is going to be the one coming out of this. Our little betting on the NFL draft with the most dollar bills, let's say.
Yep.
And it's probably Danny, and it's going to drive me nuts. So, well, that's not all that's happened around the NFL. Our very own Detroit Lions, who I'm assuming most people show up to this podcast to listen about, have signed 2 more players. They have signed cornerback Rock Ya-Sin and cornerback Avonte Maddox, who is from Michigan and has, I believe, the Lions, Red Wings, Pistons, and Tigers emblems all tattooed on his arm. So it's a homecoming for Maddox. But what this says to me, Brian, is that we are not drafting a cornerback at any point in the draft because we have 7 corners on the roster signed as of right now.
And drafted 2 last year.
Early
picks. Yeah.
Right. So this is my 4th position in the draft where I think they just don't take a single player at the position, and that's quarterback, running back, tight end, and now corner. So, thinking about the way that the cornerback room looked last year, and, they had injuries there too. Carlton Davis missed the end of the season with a neck, and we had Kindle Wilder, much to Mike's dismay, playing in meaningful games right at the end of the season. It doesn't appear like that's going to be the case anymore. Like they are legit 6 deep with NFL veterans or high picks that they're coming in. So does this take the sting? And maybe you don't feel this way, but like, does this take the sting of like Carlton Davis signing with the Patriots away for you, knowing that we're this deep now?
Carlton Davis got pretty good money. I was good with the trade. No, I shouldn't say trade. The trade off that they did, picking up the guy right after he signed with the Patriots, right?
Mm-hmm.
For $5 million less per year on average, right? It was 15.
Yeah.
And I think that he showed some promise. I was good with that. So Davis was a good locker room presence, I thought, as far as what we've heard. And he was good for them on the field, got injured too much, but obviously that's not necessarily his fault or his body's fault that he got injured. It just happens. I think that they're pretty good with the guy that replaced him. So I don't think they lost much there.
Okay.
How deep do they go into training camp with corners? Is it unusual for people to go into the training camp 8 or 9 deep and then plan on cutting 2 or 3?
I would not be surprised if they added more corners to that room for when the roster goes up to 90 people.
Okay.
And I certainly think that signing guys like Rock Ya-Sin, Avonte Maddox are not the kind of commitments that prohibit you from being like, oh, we have this UDFA who's just blowing everybody away in camp. Well, we can't possibly keep that guy on the roster because we signed Rock Ya-Sin, so I think that there is some leeway to the cornerback room changing, but I don't know that they will commit any more resources to it prior to the draft or even in the draft, which is a bummer because there's a couple of cornerbacks in the draft that I think are Lions through and through.
And they could be available at their pick.
Yeah.
I like the guy that you like from East Carolina. I was doing some reading on him after our mock draft.
Yeah.
And he could be a guy that's available at that pick. Do they want to go with a cornerback over an edge? Maybe not, but best player available, he might be it. So
it's a very good point. So that was Siobhan Revel from East Carolina. He is enormous. He's like 6'3", 195. Like he's a great big dude. And like one of the things about these corner signings that has surprised me, even including DJ Reed, is that they're a lot closer to like Amik Robertson than they are Siobhan Revel, like a gigantic gigantic cornerback, 5'9", 5'10", but plays bigger than they are type of guys. Mm-hmm. So if the cornerback room is largely those types of players now, like I guess I'm here for it because I think that they would have been fine with the way that their defense was structured last year, if not for the inexplicable number of injuries the team randomly faced. So
yeah,
it looks like and feels like to me that Brad is continuing to hedge against that kind of thing repeating. And like that is, if there is a theme to the offseason this year, to me it's that. It's like how many positions can we shore up to it's like we're 4, 5, 6 people deep, So, and I think that they're doing a good job, but they're not spending a ton of money to do it. So,
is there a position that you feel they haven't shored up as well as they could?
Yes, there is. And like I think the fascinating thing about watching Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell build this roster is seeing how they address these positions. So like the way that I feel about the Lions roster now is that like there is a starter at least penciled in to every position on this team. And more of them are like entrenched, or I would call them pillars of the team now than we have seen maybe in my lifetime, which is getting to be considerable, Brian.
Yeah.
So Diggs, who's Diggs?
Stephon Diggs, who went to the Patriots.
Oh, Stephon Diggs. Oh, look at Danny just hacking away on his computer. 3 years, 69. Look at he's just breaking news over here. He's a little beat reporter. Thank you,
That's
Danny.
pretty good money. That's pretty good money for a guy his age.
So the thing about that, to transition, I'll get back to my thoughts here on the roster. Hey, Zakwa. Good to see you, buddy. When Drake May, the Patriots quarterback, was at Carolina, they had a wonderful little slot receiver named Josh Downs, who now plays at the for the Indianapolis Colts. And it was made of downs. Like, just love that kind of guy. And not that Stephon Diggs is necessarily that same kind of player, but like, he's the kind of player that will draw attention away from that kind of player. So I'm still curious to see if the Patriots will go out and get like a pure slot corner at some point in this draft, like Jalen Noel from Iowa State, somebody that I think they'd really like. But that's an interesting signing. What do you think about Diggs going to New England?
They needed receivers out there in the worst way. And they're in a position to take a possible Travis Hunter with the 4th pick, which they could possibly play at wide receiver, at least some. So they need guys up there for sure for Drake May to throw to. But I think their most important position is probably their O-line up there. Hopefully they do some things there. Not that I want to see the Patriots start winning again.
Oh, were you not a fan? Okay.
I'm more of a fan now that they're not winning every year.
Sure.
You get tired of teams winning every year.
Diversity? Yeah, I got you. That's good. Well, let's okay, so let me just finish my thought, I guess, on your question about the roster. Is that I think that there is a starter penciled in to every spot on the Lions starters. And so I think adding to this team is going to be adding to depth or putting a plan in place for like a current starter to eventually like work their way off the roster. So like, let's just take Alex Anzalone as an example. Like, if they are not convinced that Malcolm Rodriguez is your will linebacker of the future, could they take a 3rd round, 4th round linebacker and have him effectively intern for a year behind Alex Anzalone? Like, those are the kinds of moves that I'll be interested in watching the Lions, to see if the Lions do that kind of thing. Or if they continue to attack a particular position. Like, is this something that we will see Brad Holmes go into this draft that's chock full of defensive linemen and say, I'm going to take an edge player here, a 3 technique here, a replacement for DJ Reader here, and like in what order could he do that? And like, could we just see the second line of future Detroit Lions players now that we're starting to extend guys like Aleem McNeil? And can we see, is that now in the works? Like, it's just kind of fascinating to me how they approach roster construction. So
yeah, that segues into one of my questions, if you don't mind me asking one more.
Oh, please do, man.
The Lions are going to have some difficult decisions to make over the next couple of years. They got a lot of guys coming up. Who do you think could be a surprise cap casualty to make room for more important signings?
It's an excellent question. And so this has been, so I have listened to people speculate about this exact thing, and it seems like everybody has a different guy. So
I have a guy.
Please tell me, so that, and I will gather my thoughts as you speak.
I would not be surprised if 2 years from now Decker is a cap casualty.
Oh, interesting. Let's look at Decker. So Taylor Decker, who I am almost incapable of pronouncing his name. All right, so we are heading into the 2025 season. He'll be 32 years old. He's going to be earning $14.8 million in guaranteed money this year. He has a cap hit of $23 million, or 7.6% of the salary cap. In 2026, he'll be 33. He'll have no more guaranteed money. His cap number is 21, but we would save, he would be a $9.4 million cut or an $11.9 million cap savings. And then 2 years from now, 2027, 34 years old, no more guaranteed money. $24 million hit, $6 million cap hit, 17, almost $18 million in cap savings. Mike, when I talk to Mike about Taylor Decker, he is constantly saying, like, I think this is like, it's this year and maybe one more year, and then who knows, like maybe you trade him. Like, what would Kansas City give up for, 2 years of Taylor Decker? What would the Patriots like throw a mid round pick and some money at reducing? I mean, they have more money than God still in the they spent all this money. They still have $80 million in cap space going into this season. Like, I mean, if you wanted to, you could throw a pick at a player and pay down a lot of the incoming money just so you don't have to give up as good of a pick, to get them on the roster if you wanted to. Like, they have some flexibility there. So what makes you think Taylor Decker? Why is he your number one?
Age is part of it. Okay. And I believe that his performance seems to be waning a little bit. He's doing pretty well. But I think that he's not doing as well as he was earlier in his career. I don't know. It just feels like it could be his time coming up.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Let's. I'm going to take a look at his PFF tracking here. Let's see if we can. My God, why have they made it so much more complicated? So, all right, let me come back to you. I'll share my screen. Mike is so good at this. I'm terrible at it. I don't know if you guys can tell how bad.
Well, he sits on a computer all day long. he knows this stuff.
Yeah, he does. All right, let me get back over here. And then I'll do what I always yell at him to do. I'll make it bigger. Okay, so in 2024, he scored a 77 overall. Year before, 81, 74, 75, 82, 75, 70, 81.
Yeah, so he's even.
So
pass blocking was bad, but right?
This is
what that means?
This is pass blocking right under the grades. He was a 78.
He must have thrown a pass. Did he throw a pass?
Did he throw a pass?
It says pass 58.
He must have thrown a pass. That's interesting. He's a better pass blocker than he is a run blocker, right? So
okay,
that's why Penne's on the other side. All right, so let me ask you this. Let's say after this year, like, there's a noticeable decline, which there could very well be. And they decide to get rid of him. Do you move Penne from right to left to cover?
That would depend on who they have to play the other side. If the other guy is like Decker and he's a better pass blocker than a run blocker, he's better on the left than the right. It's going to depend on who that trade-off is.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yep.
So the guy that I guess that I've heard discussed is Jameson Williams. And Mike, I think Mike and I disagree here too. I think Jameson Williams is a unique talent because he has something that you can't teach, and that's speed.
Yep. Yep.
And so I am loath to get rid of that trait from the roster. And in fact, I would overpay for it to keep it on the roster because it's just not something that you can go. You cannot go into a draft every year and acquire a player that has his speed. There's a reason that Brad traded up 20 spots for a hurt player who had that trait. So I guess the question that I'll ask you, Brian, is if you had to pick between re-signing Jameson Williams or Kirby Joseph, who would you pick?
I would stick with Joseph because nothing shows a team's trust in a receiver more than targets. And he just doesn't get the targets that the players that they truly trust get, or even close to it.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not as involved. He's more of a gadget player You know, the who was the returner that they had in Chicago, and he played some on offense, and they bring him out because he has that feel to me. Obviously, he only plays offense, but he has that feel when they need somebody to go deep and take the top off, and they just let him run deep. They're not always going to pass him the ball and pass him the ball even less than some of the other guys, but I don't know. He just has that gadget feel to me. He's a speed guy.
I can understand that. To me, this is easy, and this is just the positional value part of my brain that makes this decision, I suppose. But like, I would let Kirby Joseph walk into free agency gladly to re-sign Jameson.
Yeah.
And I like Kirby Joseph. I think he's been great, and like, I think one of the things that I like about him is that he has been consistent with producing turnovers. Like this was year 3. He had his first 2 years, he had 4 picks each year. This year, he more than doubles his career total to get 9 picks. He's an all-pro, right? So here's the thing. So like, if Kirby Joseph is, if you were to tell me I re-sign Kirby Joseph to like a 4-year deal, and Kirby Joseph is going to be responsible for 9 turnovers a season, I would absolutely re-sign him at the top of the free safety market. But I don't think Joseph is 6'2" with 6'8" 8-inch arms. He's got long arms. It's good. I'm happy that
he's smart.
Yeah, he is smart. And so Aaron Glenn has said when it came to drafting both of their safeties, Branch and Joseph, they wanted instinctual safeties who, and they apparently, like Glenn at least, we'll see what our new defensive coordinator will let them do. But he said he wanted his corners, or not his corners, his safeties to be in a position to go make a play, right? And Kirby Joseph obviously does that. And it might sound like I'm making a case to keep Kirby Joseph, but like, I'm saying all of this to say, like, I recognize all of that value that Kirby Joseph brings, and I still think it's easier to replace somebody like Kirby Joseph than it is to replace somebody like Jameson Williams. And
even though there's a lot of fast guys out there in the NFL, there are a lot of fast wide receivers. Is he that much better than one that you might even be able to save money on signing?
So I think there are a lot of fast wide receivers. I have to agree with that assessment. Like, that's just too,
maybe not that fast.
Positional value is a thing. It sucks. It doesn't suck, Joseph. It's not an opinion, right? Like, all positional value is saying, let's look at the entire NFL and see where they spend their money. That's what positional value is. And then you just rank it. So like, positional value, like, here's the number one thing in position. Like, quarterbacks make the most money per position. That's positional value because they get paid the most, right? So if you're a team and you're trying to invest money into the positions in the NFL that earn the most money, it would make sense to spend your draft capital on those positions wisely, right? That's all it's trying to say. What's up, Hatters? So like, okay, and so like, and so this is most of my point, is that safety is easier to replace. And the reason that I think that is, even though there are way more wide receivers out there, a lot of them very fast, to your point, I think that Jameson Williams is fast amongst the fastest people.
Yeah, he is fast.
And then I think to myself, you have players like Justin Simmons, who is a veteran, who is 30, but has made it to the free agency market now 2 years in a row, right? Like, you have people, it's a position where contributing players, starter level players, makes it to free agency every year. Like, guys like T. Higgins, and I'm not saying that Jameson Williams is T. Higgins, but like, those kinds of players do not make it to free agency. And so I think that I think that Jamison Williams was initially held back because of the injury. Then he got suspended. That was a stupid move. I'm almost willing to give him a pass on it because it's like, do you know all the ins and outs of like where you could place a bet if your company said you couldn't do it? But he made a mistake. He got punished. That's in the past. He came into this year. He's a 1,000-yard receiver as the team's third, maybe fourth option, depending on how you view Jahmyr Gibbs. So I think that there's a lot of value there, and I think that he does things that are not replicable by an easy replacement. And I think that this offense is designed to take advantage of the things that he does well, mostly stretching the field for our intermediate route runners, Laporta, St. Brown, and giving them more space to operate. And I think that that is the dirty work that, like a casual football fan like myself, doesn't see game in and game out. And I guess I would just rather devote my money to that. Is the where I got on it.
I could see that. Is that why maybe you think that Brad Holmes oftentimes surprises you? Is because he doesn't seem to, he bucks the trend of positional value and seems to go after playmakers rather than position?
I'm determined that this year he won't surprise me. So
okay,
not because I think that I have figured him out, but because this year I'm not going to put an expectation on what I think he is going to do, because I don't know. I don't know how anyone could, because to your exact point, he seems to march to his own drum. The thing about that drum is it's hit almost every note correctly the entire time that he's been here.
Mm-hmm.
He has drafted above expectation so well. And we're going to take a look at that as our main topic tonight here.
Especially early in drafts, yeah.
Oh, and so I went back and I looked at his past drafts. He drafts on day 1 and day 2 a lot. And those are good players. Kirby Joseph is a day 2 pick. Like Amon-Ra St. Brown's not a good pick for that because he was a day 3 pick. But like he garners a ton of value, off of day 1 and day 2, and like he's smart to do so. So let's bring up that sheet here and we'll take a look at what I'm talking about. Stop sharing that. Come over here. Share something else. Narrate it as I do it. Classic television. All right. This is too small to see, so I have to make it bigger because it's the thing that I yell at Mike to do all the time. Okay, so here we go. These are the Brad Holmes draft picks by year. And then I've just realized I haven't filled this out completely, so nope, that's not a real thing. Don't look. Okay, so his first pick, Penei Sewell, right? Hard to pass on Penei Sewell. Needed a tackle, generational tackle. I think that's an applicable tag you can put on Penei Sewell. Got him at the 7th pick.
There were guys to pick. He could have picked somebody else, but
picked Micah Parsons.
Yeah,
he was on the board. Could have picked Justin Fields.
Ultimately, I think he made the right pick.
Hard to argue, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I want to do here. I want to just go through these picks, and you tell me, has this pick worked out? Is this pick, like a guy that we're going to continue to see on the roster? That, and just kind of like get a feel for this. Because so Penei Sewell has been rock solid since he's been a Detroit Lion. So we've already extended him. He's very clearly a pillar of the organization. He's excellent. Like there's not enough good things to say about him. What do you think about Levi? He got re-signed to a really cheap contract. 1 year, I think 4.5, 5.5. He's going to be a free agent again next year. Kind of need him.
Yep, but did he live up to his draft position? Maybe not, but he has. I don't know. I don't know him as well.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I think that he's been. What I think is the only thing that I can really point to with any kind of definitive answer and say he's been hurt for 3 years, and he had an excellent year for what I would consider to be a reserve defensive tackle. Okay. So he was. I don't remember when McNeil went down, but it was like 4 or 5 games before the end of the season, right around in that area. So he produced from a backup position, and the Lions love to rotate their guys, so even their backups are getting almost starter level snaps. But like just through the rotation, like he produced as many pressures from his position as almost anybody else in the NFL. Like that's wonderful value for a reserve defensive tackle or a rotational defensive tackle.
Yep.
Yeah, Joseph over here is right. Levi's back issues kind of clouded what he is or isn't, right? So how do you commit to a guy after one good season, after 3 years of being hurt? It's difficult. So I like how they re-signed him, but I think that the fact that they didn't give him a Derek Barnes level contract says we need to see this again from you for at least another year before we commit to something like close to $10 million a year.
Yeah.
So now that's all well and good, but like the guy they picked next, Ali McNeil, they've already re-signed. Like he's getting top interior defensive line money in the NFL, and unfortunately got hurt the year after, almost as soon as he signed the contract, right? So here's a 3rd round pick that very clearly worked out. They gave him top of the market money. He's on the team for the foreseeable future. Hard to say anything but good things about Lee McNeil, right?
Yeah, you can't beat that for 3rd round. So
right. Excellent pick. Okay, Ife Melifonwu, a lot like Levi, hurt with a lot of injuries. Dealt with multiple injuries this last year. The combination of these injuries basically kept him out for all but a few games. He had one excellent 9-game stretch 2 years ago that I think basically got him to stay on the roster this year. But now he's a Miami Dolphin, and they only gave him $4 million a year. So which tells you what Detroit thought of him. Like they easily could have given him that deal to keep him on the roster. They chose not to.
Yeah. When he was playing, he seemed to show something, but
right.
He just wasn't playing enough.
So I would say for both Levi and Iffy, like we'll never know, like what if, because injuries wreck these guys' starts to their NFL careers. And maybe if he catches on with the Dolphins, he stays healthy. I wish that for him, but it didn't happen here. Well, the next guy is our 3rd guy in the class that they gave top of the line money to, and that's Amon-Ra St. Brown. Even the Lions passed on Amon-Ra St. Brown 4 times.
Yep.
But
he maybe has ended up as one of the top 20 or so best 4th round picks ever.
I think that you could make I would be interested to know who's on that list.
Yeah.
I think that would be an interesting list to look at. Who are the top 4th round picks in the history of the NFL draft? Because in his first 4 years, he's a 2-time All-Pro. I mean, and he's an excellent wide receiver. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And they've rewarded him with $30 million a year, which is already looking great because, where does he rank now? He ranks 1, 2, 3, 4, 6th on average money, and then T. Higgins just got a new deal. That's accounted for. But like, there are going to be guys coming up. Nico Collins is coming up. Will Tyreek Hill want more money? Jalen Waddle, Terry McLaurin.
And where does Amon-Ra fit on that list as far as personality and attitude goes?
I know, like he's a saint, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, the guy has the work ethic, the cult. Like when the Lions talked about building culture, I was like, I came from Lions teams that had no culture. So I'm like, okay, like that's a nice thing. That's a nice inspirational poster to put on a wall. But what does it really mean? Well, okay, like I'm learning what it means.
Yeah, guys like Amon-Ra, as many as you can get.
Yep. Yeah, it would be excellent to have a cadre of these guys. Derek Barnes, kind of a familiar story. Like, took a couple years to develop. Lost a season injury. They've re-signed him. They did not give him top of his position group money, but it looks like he is going to be a contributor on this team for the next 2-3 seasons. Yep. So hard to say when they reward you with more time and more money. It's hard to kind of say that you weren't a hit, but probably not for a fourth round linebacker, which is where I think that they should be drafted. Like, I think this is excellent. Like, I think to me, this is an A+. Like, a guy that late that you reward with a second contract is a A+. So I just think that he's miscast. Like, I think he is a middle linebacker that they're asking to play the Sam linebacker position, which is basically your pass rushing linebacker.
Yeah.
And not that he can't do it. I just don't think that he's born to it kind of in the way that you want a pass rushing linebacker to do it. But who knows? Maybe he'll get even better. Can only hope.
It's a good fourth round pick.
Yeah, 100%. And then Jamar Jefferson was a 7th round running back. He was on the practice squad for a lot of years. That's about the best thing that I can say. He played in preseason games. Big guy, but I just don't think he was able to crack the rotation.
Yeah, there's a pretty low percentage of 7th round picks that end up being, staple guys on the team.
Exactly. So while I don't want to say like he's a bust or something, because I'm just like, he's picked 257. Like, that's almost the last pick in the draft. So I good depth guy for 3 years. Fine. It's fine. It's not great. It's not bad. Next year, one of my favorite players in the history of football, Aiden Hutchinson, who the Jaguars in their hubris decided not to pick. Thank you very much, Jacksonville. Couldn't believe
it. That's the loudest I've ever heard you cheer right there is when they picked.
It's so rare. Like, okay, so everyone knows on the podcast, like, I'm a Michigan fan. I have my own personal like Hall of Fame or like Mount Rushmore of Michigan players that I have personally just loved watching play football. I just love watching Aiden Hutchinson play the game of football. It's just, I don't feel the way about every player the way that I feel about watching him play. And I'm super lucky because I get to watch him. I don't have to go get like some special, even though I guess I do, but like some special thing lets me watch every NFL game, right? Like, I can just watch Aiden Hutchinson like on NBC or CBS or whatever every week, So I'm very fortunate that one of my favorite players is on my favorite team. So
Andy's one of those guys like Amon-Ra that is helping turn around the culture.
Yeah, he's a
great guy.
I think for me, the story that solidified that, in my opinion, was he got hurt at Michigan. I think it was at the end of his sophomore season. And he was in rehab, and his strength and conditioning coach, who's now with the Chargers, came to him and was just checking in on him. And he said, I want you to push me harder than you've pushed anybody else in your entire career. And I cannot remember what the strength and conditioning coach's name is, but he said, I went after Aiden Hutchinson like I hated the kid. And he lived up to every single one of my expectations. He's like, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Aiden Hutchinson could very easily be the two hardest working people in the NFL.
Mhm.
They're both Detroit Lions, and I think that that's something that we should look for when it comes to like who are the kinds of people that the Lions want to draft. Are they people who are gym rats, like workout warriors? I mean, are these the kind of guys that the Lions are wanting to have in the locker room? Because I think with a lot of these players, you can say, yeah, maybe they're not the most talented players on the board, but they're going to become better than a lot of the other ones because they're going to outwork a lot of other people.
Yep.
Wasn't he a linebacker who switched to DE, then back to linebacker before the draft? Wasn't that the plan for him always to be best? I don't know. That's a good question, fan man. I don't remember where Derek Barnes went to school. Was it Pitt? I'm not certain, but he very easily that could have easily been what happened. Is that he has been bouncing back in between positions for a couple of years. So Aiden Hutchinson not extended yet, right? He just went through his third season. I think that you could easily say he's a pillar and that they're going to give him top of his position group money.
Let's hope it's not $40 million.
It's gonna be insane.
Hopefully he wants to win more than he wants a yacht.
Brand secret sauce. He's yeah. I think you're gonna get just unbelievable season after unbelievable season out of Aiden Hutchinson for as long as he's playing football. Jameson Williams, we've talked about a little bit. I don't know if he's going to be re-signed. I mean, the math would indicate you can't re-sign everyone. So if you want to re-sign him, the way the wide receiver market's going, he's going to be a $25 million a year player. I would imagine. I think he could get that on the open market. So do you sacrifice that for somebody like we're going to re-sign Kirby Joseph and player X for the money that we would give Jameson Williams? Like, you might have to start making those choices.
Yeah, especially, I mean, do you think if you redrafted that particular draft, he even goes in the first round?
Yes.
Do you still think so?
I do.
Maybe not that high?
Probably not that high. That's the fun thing about redrafts is you get an opportunity to know how they're working out.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Hindsight.
helpful. Yeah. That's pretty helpful. So I don't know. I mean, I think that he would certainly be closer to the second round than he was the first. I don't think he goes 12.
No.
So Josh Paschal, just kind of your utility, interior, exterior. They seem to like that hybrid role. Defensive lineman has not distinguished himself.
No.
I think
he's a fill-in guy.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think if he's going to be re-signed, it's going to be like to a contract like Derek Barnes got, like 2-3 years, half of what you would give somebody else, basically. So, like, I don't know that he'll accept that. He might test the market, but I would be surprised if they re-sign him. I don't think that he's a bust. I think that he's a guy that can eat snaps for you and play. I think he's above a replacement level player.
Yeah, but he's serviceable, but he's not a star. He's not an all-pro guy or even close.
Yeah, he feels like a guy to me, like if the opportunity presented himself, you could improve upon him. So, not a bust, but not great. Kirby Joseph, this is another hit. He had two under. I mean, I wouldn't say that he had great years per PFF scores, at least. Never embarrassed himself out there, as far as I could tell. And then in his third season, he's one of, if not the best safety in the NFL and an All-Pro. So, kind of hard to. It's the same thing that happened to Josh Allen. He had like two really bad, like mediocre years, and then the next year he was like, okay, now I'm here now. I'm elite, and he has stayed there. And so if Kirby does that, kind of hard. I mean, and Brad Holmes has already basically said I don't know how you're not a Pro Bowler if you're an All Pro with 9 picks and like to me, it sounded like he was intimating that Kirby Joseph's like the next guy to get paid, on the roster. So I mean, like, just skip
And
James.
Brad Holmes has been good about signing his guys earlier than the rest of the NFL, so he doesn't have to pay them so much.
That's an excellent point. We're gonna do it, fan man. Sorry, buddy. James Mitchell, 5th round, tight end out of, I believe it was Virginia. He was hurt. I mean, this is a common theme among Brad's draft picks. Like, he was hurt. That was the reason he fell to the 5th round. He just never distinguished himself in a linebacker room that at the time had Brock Wright to contend with. So this is a miss as far as I'm concerned. Once again, though, a small miss. Like, you're talking about a 5th round tight end.
Yep.
So I don't know where not a ton of fallout here, Now we get back to the hits. In the 6th round, they pick Malcolm Rodriguez, energy guy. I think he's a perfect backup or rotational linebacker for what they want to do at the will position. Unfortunately, he hurt his knee. So I don't know what that's going to look like. Is he going to bounce back quickly and look like he looked? If so, great. Then I think that you probably bring him back. If not, do you sign him to what they did with Levi? Do you give him a 1-year, let's keep going at basic, double the rate of what your rookie contract was giving you, and we'll see? I don't know.
That'd be a good gamble.
Yeah, I think so. Here's a bad gamble. James Houston, much like Ife Melifonwu, in my opinion, he was hurt nearly continuously. He had one excellent 8-game stretch that gave everybody a lot of hope. And then something happened where this is the first guy amongst these players that I think got kicked off the team basically for attitude. I can't confirm it. I've heard nobody confirm it. But what was happening was usually when you go from like the point of the season that we're in right now, where he goes, we're going to re-sign people, draft new people, get into training camp, and who's at training camp looking great? Oh, it's Jack Campbell. Oh, it's Brian Branch. You didn't hear those things about James Houston, unfortunately. And his ankle exploded and never recovered. Well, you need your ankle. I mean, it's what makes your foot bend. So, but if it was just for injuries, maybe it's just, it could very easily just be for injuries, but I don't know. It just seemed, I kept hearing that he's in the doghouse. He's in the doghouse. Why? Maybe that was all just ridiculous. Anyway, not on the team anymore. Wish he'd worked out. I kind of got really excited when he had his little 8-game stretch there.
Yeah, me too.
There was a sports doctor video that showed Houston before and after the injury. Both in-game scenarios, he lost the bend in his ankles that helped him fly past OTs. Well, that's the thing that he was banking his career on, so that's a real bummer. So hopefully he can find either he gets healthy and finds a spot in the NFL, or there's some opportunity for him coaching-wise or with one of the staffs, because he seemed like a good dude when he was here in Detroit. Chase Lucas was 7th round corner. Hasn't been on the team in 2 years, I believe. Basically lasted his rookie season and got cut, I think, when cut downs happened last in the 2023 season. 2024 season. No, I don't know. Long time. He wasn't on the team last year. So, once again, small misses, right? This is okay. This next class is the one that has got me completely rethinking my assumptions about stuff. And we watched this one together, and I went back and rewatched our stream of the 2023 draft, Brian.
Yeah.
By pick 18, I was pretty grumpy. I was not feeling it, not understanding what was happening. and really disappointed, I think, and not doing a good job of covering it up. So I'm not.
That was the second loudest I ever heard you after a pick was after the Gibbs pick.
I was so surprised, but let's talk about it. So Jahmyr Gibbs, hated the pick. I was so in love. What is the defensive tackle's name for Philadelphia that Jalen Carter.
Yep.
I had such a prospect crush on Jalen Carter. And having him play alongside Aiden Hutchinson in some capacity, that I was just like, this just makes so much sense. But I think once they didn't have Devin Witherspoon on the board, when Seattle took him at 5, I think he was the plan at 6. And then when he was off the board, they were like, okay, let's see if we can move down. They did. And they moved down, and at 12, they take Gibbs. And I was shocked. And
nobody saw it coming.
No one saw it coming. And I was impressed in his rookie year, and I was completely blown away last year with how good he is. David Montgomery is one of my favorite players in the NFL, but I think that Jahmyr Gibbs needs to touch the ball more this season. Like, and I don't know, I wouldn't normally say that, but like he is just maybe too good to keep off the field at this point. Like, he needs to be taking the lion's share, sorry for the pun, of the snaps at running back.
Yeah, I think that Atlanta's running back is a very good player, but I actually think that Gibbs is better.
Gotcha. Let's see.
Because they took him, 5 or 6? Atlanta did? Something like that?
Was it? It was 8 because they picked 8 3 years in a row.
Oh, okay.
Super easy to remember. And hilarious because, well, I mean, who does that? Jack Campbell at 18 was basically where I got my balloon popped. I was like, you're taking the traditional like Tampa 2 Mike linebacker at pick 18 when I was straight up convinced that we had a half a dozen needs more important. And I think the difference is I can't see it. I can't see 2-3 years down the line. Like, we're not in the interviews. We're not in the evaluation, discussions and that kind of, obviously, that kind of thing. And like, my impression of Jack Campbell is that he doesn't make many mistakes and he doesn't stand out much either. He's just a dude who's in the right spot where he should be doing the right kind of job, whether I know he's doing it correctly or not. And he played much better this year than he did last year per PFF. But it's a linebacker at 18, man. Like, the history just shows that those guys most of the time don't work out. And like, the Brad Holmes effect is he seems to find the ones that do. So I don't know what to do with Jack Campbell.
Yeah, I keep hearing that he's the guy that's bugging the coaches all the time, wanting to run through plays and what did I do wrong? What can I do better? And he's constantly trying to improve. And he's probably one of those guys that's in the gym working out with Amon-Ra and Aiden Hutchinson too. Yeah. So
he was one of the guys last year heading into the season that made me have so much, like, I bet on him to be like, he's going to have a huge jump. Is that like, this is the dude at training camp that everybody's like, first to show up, last to leave, outworking everybody. Like, the thing that you said, like, he's constantly in everyone's ear about, A, B, and C. Like, he's like a sponge. Like, he's soaking up all this information. And I was just like, well, I'll just bet on that guy.
Yeah.
Because they believe in him and look like this is what everyone else is saying about him. Like, I'll believe in that guy. Which is nuts to me because, like, it goes against like everything that I initially believe about how you should construct a roster. And I keep telling Mike, because I'd love it if he started doing a little bit more of this, if he would just be like, this is what the evidence is. Like, I'm going to change my opinion. You know, like I have to, like, if I'm going to sit here and do this show and talk about the Lions like this, I'm going to have to change my opinion on players like Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell, Sam Laporta, you know, Brian Branch, that kind of thing, because they've all hit.
Yep. I'm very curious to see what you have to say about the next one.
Sam Laporta?
Yeah.
I think that he had an amazing rookie season, and I don't know if he was hurt or if the NFL started to be like, well, we can't let this guy tear us up, and he was the one in the Lions offense that other defenses thought they could take away, or if he just didn't have, if he had hit a sophomore slump. I don't know what it is. Combination of all three, who knows?
Yeah, but I'm not sure either, but he's got the talent.
He does. He has a ton of talent, and like, I mean, I think that he's the second receiving option on the team behind St. Brown, and I'm fine with it because, first of all, as a Michigan fan, we played Iowa all the time. And a couple of times we played them twice because we'd play them and then we'd play them in the Big Ten title game. I never saw that Sam Laporta at Iowa. Now, maybe it's because Iowa doesn't have a guy that can throw the ball forward, but like, if they can see that Sam Laporta when Iowa doesn't have an effective quarterback, like, bravo, because that's amazing. Because the guy that I saw his rookie season, I would have been like, no. This is the other guy's older brother. I saw the younger brother play at Iowa, and like, I just didn't think that he would. I mean, I thought he would be on the field for Detroit, what I saw at Iowa, and he's not. He's way better in my opinion. So
yeah, right out of the gate. I mean,
and that's not easy. I mean, like, when you're like a skill position player to be immediately good, I think that's pretty tough in the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yet another like assertion or assumption that I had that I have to check myself now on, because if he comes out season 3 and is a top 5 tight end in the NFL, like that, there it is. That's his money. Like, he's going to get extended as a top 5 tight end. This is the year that I'm really worried about. Like, you have these 4 guys, you might as well have picked them all. I mean, look at that list and tell me if you just didn't throw all the guys up and they all came down in a different order at the same picks, 12, 18, 34, and 45. Like, rearrange those 4 players and tell me what order you can put them in that doesn't make sense. Like, you can pick Brian Branch 12th, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can
I was lobbying for him at 18 and 34, I think.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like, can you not have seen taking Jack Campbell at 34 or 45? Can you not see taking Gibbs at 18 or 34? Like, so my point is, you might as well say they're all taken at the same point in the class, because A, they're all hits.
Yep.
And B, I want to resign all of them. The problem is Gibbs, Laporta, and Branch. I don't know about Campbell yet, but I would say Gibbs, Laporta, and Branch are all in the top 5 of their position groups already. So
you
I mean,
can't afford them all.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, and so like, the cap's going to go up one more time before we have to do this. But like 2026, we lose something like $36 million in cap space just because of the way the contracts are structured. And like, it's the second year of Penei Sewell and St. Brown and McNeil all hitting the books, and like Goff has a $69 million cap hit next season. And like, we're going to experience more of a cap crunch. And so like, I don't know. So like, they have not re-signed or extended Aiden, Jameson, or Kirby Joseph yet. And I'm wondering if they're saying to these guys, can we please take the extensions into this time next year? And we want to extend all of you, but we need a gap year to absorb this big hit and get onto the third year of the extensions for the other guys. And then that way now we have a built-in buffer where our cap space goes down, and then we can start working our way back up.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but like, tell me which one of these guys you let walk. I mean, I know which one it is for me, but
Is
like,
it a safety again?
no, no, I would happily pay Brian Branch top of the safety money.
Okay, then it's got to be Campbell.
Yeah, it is. It's Campbell, and I like him now. Like, that's the thing. So, like, I don't dislike any of these players, but like,
You can't have everything you want. You know, you got to let somebody walk.
I just don't understand it. Okay, so then Hendon Hooker, who I'm surprised is still on the roster.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you re-signed Teddy Bridgewater at the end of last season. Jared Goff has to go out for a handful of plays. You send in Teddy Bridgewater. And like, the reasoning that I've heard is that like Hooker hasn't taken like in-game snaps. That is his job. When is he ever going to get the experience to do it if you don't send him in? And I know it's a playoff game, and I know Teddy's been in the playoffs before, but I'm just like, you're at home, dude. I mean, like,
Yep.
I don't.
The writing's on the wall there.
It does feel like it to me.
And what, they signed Kyle Allen?
Now, they did sign Kyle Allen. I have heard, and it's been speculated, that they signed him to push Jake Fromm, their practice squad quarterback, more so than to push Hendon Hooker.
Okay.
If that's the reasoning, fine. If you want to have a practice squad quarterback battle, I don't care. But like, I am unhappy if Jake Fromm or Kyle Allen is taking a in-game rep during the regular season. So that either one of those players looks like downgrades over Hendon Hooker, who has not yet taken a meaningful snap in the NFL. So, but I'm also a huge proponent of, this will be 2 years, there will be 1 year in between when they drafted Hendon Hooker in this draft class. Take another quarterback. I don't care. Like, if you have a dude in the 4th round, like Quinn Ewers or Tyler Schaff or whatever, the kid from Louisville or whatever, who, if he somehow made it there, take the guy. I don't care. You're really good. Like, develop some of these guys, or like at least have them on your team so they're not on someone else's team. That's fine with me. Broderick Martin is a bust, and I won't hear anything to the opposing viewpoint. I've hated it. To be fair, I've hated him since he got on the roster. I thought the trade up to get him in the 3rd round was way too expensive. They gave him the year off to change his body. Then he got hurt, and then in the snaps that he had, didn't distinguish himself. So now we're going into year 3, and you have no idea who the kid is.
Huh. I remember the name, and that's about it.
Yeah, well, it's because it's hard to know who he is because he doesn't see the field. So Corby Solsdal is Penny Sewell's primary backup, so backup right tackle, 5th round, fine. Antoine Green, developmental X wide receiver. You signed Tim Patrick as soon as he became available. He's also was hurt all of last season, so 7th round pick. There's not a ton of loyalty there. I don't care too much about either one of those players. Hard to call them busts. There is no opposing viewpoint, Roger. Yeah, there. Thank you, fan man. No, I don't believe Green is gone. I believe that he is currently on the roster. He was just on injured reserve all of last season. So, I mean, if you go to Over the Cap and you look at the people the Lions have signed for this season, I believe that he is there. So, I could be wrong. He may not make it out of training camp, but who knows? Then we had this last draft. They trade up for Terry and Arnold, who I had going in the top 10, so I was thrilled. A lot of good value there.
He shows a lot of promise. I think he could be a lockdown guy in the next year or two.
The knock on him coming out of college was that he was a grabby corner.
Yeah.
Fine, whatever. Like, they're going to call pass interference on corners, whether you're grabby or not. And I guess I don't care too much. And the second half of last season, I didn't think that he grabbed nearly as much. Did he make mistakes? Yeah, he's a rookie, so you're gonna have to live with that shit. But I mean, I fully expect that he takes a step forward. I mean, they didn't go out and get 2 corners that are starters. They went out and got 1. So I mean,
Yep.
he played more snaps in against number 1 receiving options in man-to-man coverage than any other player in the NFL last year, I believe.
You learn fast that way.
Yeah, so they had him, and he wasn't so much as like born into the NFL. Then they just threw him into the deep end of the pool. And they're like, "Okay, kid, swim." And they were fine with that for whatever reason. So like, I don't know why they wouldn't be fine with it this next year when he's out of a year of experience and he's in the offseason program for a year and he's in the coaching film room for a year and getting coached how they want him to coach. So Rakestraw, I was thrilled. I had him mocked to the Lions at their pick at the end of round 1 for a lot of the draft season. And he falls to the second round, end of the second round, and the Lions pick him up. And I was like, cool, great. That's awesome. A lot of good young depth there. Now I'm glad they're attacking this position. And then he gets hurt and he basically can't play for most of the season, hamstring. And so now we're waiting. So now here we go again. Like, this is another guy who was a little bit beat up in college, who got hurt. Is that going to stunt his development? Is he on track for a starting nickel role at some point? Is he on track for just developing into a backup cornerback? If so, 2 seems really high for a backup cornerback. Certainly not ready to write him off, but baptism by fire, exactly. But I would love to see him get a lot of playing time in the preseason.
Yeah. Yep. You can't be hurt by 3 great corners.
No, I mean, and like, in my opinion, you can put cornerback as a need on every team's draft needs list every single season.
Yep. Right on there with the O-line and D-line. All 3.
It's just you need a constant influx of these guys. And the Lions should be an example of how much they believe in that now, because they drafted these 2 guys, they traded for Carlton Davis, they signed Amik Robertson, and then Davis leaves, they signed DJ Reed, okay, 1 for 1, and then they go out and sign Rock Ya-Sin and Avonte Maddox, and you let guys like Kindle Vildor and one other guy that I can't remember right now, Sterling something maybe, walk in free agency. So now, like, I think that you've upgraded your wide receiver 4 and 5 positions, and you could be 6 or 7 guys deep at that position now, like with like established NFL veteran starters.
Yep.
These 2 were almost as big a surprise for me as like the Jack Campbell pick was. The Lions didn't have picks in round 4, or I believe round 5 in last year's draft, and traded a future 3rd and a future 4th to draft a developmental, by the way, enormous tackle prospect in Giovanni Manu, and a safety when we had 2 good ones. Oh, he's not a safety. You're going to play him at running back. I also thought we had 2 good ones of those. So what are you doing? Oh, you want him to play on special teams. Oh, you've traded a future 4th round pick for a primarily special teams player. Interesting. Like, I'm just sitting here. I remember, I think it was Danny. I had taken a break from watching draft coverage, and he was like, the Lions just took a safety, and they said they're going to play him at running back. And I was like, I hate both of those things. Are you sure? And he was like, yeah. And then I looked into it, and I just sat here hating it for like 3 hours or whatever, however long it took to get to the end of the draft. And, and like, he's fine. He's a special teamer. Okay. I mean, like, you're not going to carry the ball. You're 4th in the running back room, and you're not getting coached to be a safety. So really expensive for a 100% special teamer.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, fine. This is the kind of thing that Brad does that I just don't get. Okay, like this is the best guy on the board. I doubt. I just don't believe it. But I don't know that I can name someone better right off the top.
Yeah.
So, good guys. We'll see how they work out. Like we don't know. These are question marks. 1 year in. Mekhi Wingo certainly looked like a pass rushing interior lineman. Certainly a good presence. Probably going to be third. McNeil on Uzurike, Wingo if everybody was healthy. Towards ACL. But the marketing team loves him. The Vaki Town, Detroit. Okay. If that's why they drafted him, fan man, then that is truly an outlier as far as I am. I mean, that would be a great story if we knew the truth. Wingo is great value in the 6th round for what he did. I hope if he comes back healthy, but like if this derails him at all, I don't think he can make the team. I don't mean next season or this upcoming one, like at the end of his rookie deal. And then Christian Mahogany slipped to the 6th round when he should have been like a 3rd round pick. Everybody agrees that he should have been like a 3rd round pick. No one really knows. It's got to be medical. The reason why he fell to the 6th, but the Lions take him in the 6th because they don't give a shit. If you are hurt a little bit, you're not going to be hurt forever, I guess is the theory in Allen Park. So they take him, and now he is penciled in as your starting right guard and played really, really well in the 2 games that he played. I think it was against Minnesota and Chicago near the end of the season once he came back off on the injured reserve list. And like, I'm totally cool with it. I think
need him.
I think this guy's a star. Yeah, they do need him.
Yeah.
So Brian, we have gone through every single pick. I'm not going to talk about trades. That's a whole nother show. But like we have gone through every single pick that Brad Holmes has made. So as I look at these picks, here's what I think. He just hits at such an unbelievably high rate that there's only a couple of GMs in the NFL that can go into a draft and come out of it with as much talent as Brad does. And that's Howie Roseman's one of them.
Yeah. And 2023 has to go down as one of the better drafts a GM has ever made. I mean,
yeah. And I sat here hating it while it was happening in front of me. But you're right. I mean, that's if you asked any team, hey, we're going to give you 4 starters in this class, every team would say, cool, yeah, we're good.
And 3 potential all-pros.
Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. Once again, Campbell not making the list. Is that what I'm sensing?
Yeah. I feel he has a ceiling. I think that he can be very good, but I feel he has a ceiling.
His legs aren't the same length. What? Remember this Mahogany story on draft night? He fell to the 6th because his legs aren't the same. What does that mean?
Like, so one's longer than the other?
Well,
you walk with a limp?
How can I have been paying attention to this player for over a year or around a year and not know that fact about him? That's weird. Yeah, he looks fine. I mean, and like, this is the, okay, so this is, I don't know if you guys have you ever seen the Moneyball meme where it's Jonah Hill talking to Brad Pitt and he's like, Billy, this is whomever. His flaw is some stupid thing that like no one should give a shit about. So like I always, when I hear stuff like this, I immediately think of that meme and I think of like Jonah Hill going, Billy, this is Christian Mahogany. He is an excellent meat grinder of a guard. His flaw is that his legs aren't the same length. And people are like, what the fuck does that,
I always think of Jerry Seinfeld and his reason for dumping girls back in the show.
Oh yeah,
One of her eyelashes is longer on the left than the right. I can't deal with that all the time. She's gone.
he was remarkably shallow as a television character. Yeah, but it's exactly the same kind of thing, right? Like it's just like you're picking. It's almost like you're searching out things to not like.
Yeah.
And like to me, I have heard this. The tape doesn't lie. And I have fought against that philosophy almost the whole time that I have paid attention to football. The uneven legs were talked about a lot. You guys got to tell me who you're listening to. I need more sources. But I always thought like there has to be a quantifiable way with numbers to like there's an equation, like this is how I think, that tells you who's a good football player. But like once again, the Detroit Lions are proving my assumptions incorrect. Like Brian Branch runs a 4.5 plus 40-yard dash at either the combine or his pro day or whatever, and everybody's like, ooh, like not as fast. We're not going to play him. Well, look at the tape. Like the tape says the dude's a baller.
Yep.
Like, okay, Christian Mahogany has a leg that's what, an inch, less than an inch different than the other one. So you give him a different shoe or cleats and everything's fine. I don't know. And the tape says the dude is a baller. And so the Lions are like, cool, tape. We like how he was in interviews, tape. Let's go. So, but
and you're going to get him in the 6th round. Why not?
Right. So here's the other thing. Here's the other thing. So like a lot of people have said Brad Holmes does not draft like for positional value. I think there is as much evidence to say he does as he does not. Fine. It's not supposed to be a singular guiding principle. It's just something you take into account. Brad Holmes doesn't draft for need. I completely agree with that. Brad Holmes is going to draft the best player available. We're getting closer to what I think that they do. But like you're telling me that Christian Mahogany wasn't the best player in the 3rd round when he was supposed to go, and the Lions didn't take him earlier. The Lions traded up for like Giovanni Manu and Sione Vaki because Giovanni Manu was the best player on the board, and they had to give up a pick in a future draft in order to go get him. That's how good he was. Yeah, all of Brad's picks are good on tape. It's an excellent point. So like, I don't think that Brad adheres to any one of these philosophies, but I also don't think he excludes all of them either. I think
his one philosophy is be flexible.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent. I think that's an excellent association. Like there's a term that I have heard now on social media for the Lions, like best lion available, which I like way more.
Yeah.
So like, I think Brad is going to say, this is the player who we identify with the most being a Detroit Lion in mentality, work ethic, and then let's look at where they fit in on the team. And then they say, I just lost all of our viewers, by the way. Like, I start talking about positional value for like 3 minutes and everyone leaves. So
how do you see that? I must not have that view.
I don't know if you can see it, but there's a timer right up in the upper left-hand corner that shows how long we've been on, and there's like a little eyeball with a number next to it, and that's how many people we have watching us right now.
Oh,
do you not see that?
See that.
Nope. Well, it's there. So that's fine. It doesn't matter. But it hurts.
It's probably a presenter thing.
Yeah. Oh, Hatters, dude, you are my all-star, dude. Like Hatters, do you want to do a mock draft? I know. I asked because I know it's yes. Brian, do you want to do one mock draft with me? You got time?
You talking to me?
I'm talking to
you today.
Yeah, right now.
Right now?
Yeah.
You said an hour.
I did.
It's been an hour and a half.
It's been an hour and a half. You're right. So
I know we're going to do another one before the draft.
we're going to do, and we need to start scheduling that because we're less than a month out.
Yep.
So we're going to have to send the email around again. So if you got to jump out of here, man, that's cool. It's understandable. If not, please join me. We'll do a quick 7-rounder.
Okay. I have one question I was anxious to ask you. I'm curious to see what you think.
All right. Let's do that. Let's do that.
Okay. Geno Smith got an opportunity to start after being drafted and flopped. He then bounced around the league as a journeyman before getting another opportunity late in his career and playing pretty well. Of the following players, who do you think is most likely to have that same success and follow that same career?
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Mitch Trubisky.
Okay.
Zach Wilson.
Uh-huh.
Justin Fields.
Uh-huh.
Carson Wentz or Will Levis?
It's Justin Fields and I don't even think the other guys can do it.
Well, but he can't throw.
He can run.
But he's going to be older. Remember, he's going to be 35 almost. So is he still that guy? Or is a guy like Levis or Wentz figure it out?
No. So
no.
Carson Wentz is now a career backup who I think will bounce around the NFL on 1-year deals for the rest.
So was Geno Smith.
So then let's talk about it. So like your list is Levis, Wentz, Zach Wilson,
Mitch Trubisky, and
Mitch Trubisky. Okay. So Mitch Trubisky and Carson Wentz are in the same spot. Like, can you see the difference between those two guys and Geno Smith is that Geno Smith found an opportunity to be a starter somewhere in the NFL for multiple years, right?
Yep.
Do you honestly believe that either of those two guys, Trubisky or Wentz, can find an opportunity in the NFL to either compete or be signed as a starter?
It's always possible because the way the quarterbacks are going, how many teams need quarterbacks?
So right now we have two, right? We have Pittsburgh and we've got Cleveland who just have zero. I mean, Kenny Pickett is on the Browns, and he was the former first round pick of the Steelers 3 years ago. I mean,
that's saying that every team that has a starter is going to have a good starter.
Well, so I mean, it's about every year there's about 6 to 8 teams that go back into the quarterback carousel, right?
Yep.
Okay, so like whether it's through the draft or it's primarily through the draft, like I don't think that we add 6 starter caliber players to the NFL through the draft every year. I think it's about a third of that.
Yep.
So there's always going to be a deficit. I have a hard time believing that Trubisky or Wentz, with the play that they have had since they have accepted like quote unquote backup roles and not fighting for starting level positions, are going to be able to convince anyone at any time in any situation that they are starter quarterback material at this point. They seem like bridge quarterbacks, injury replacement, good depth on a team, but no longer starter caliber players.
Okay, so you eliminated 2.
Yeah, so the other 2 are Will Levis and
Zach Wilson and Justin Fields.
Okay, so I'm Justin Fields is the only one, and I'm just eliminating all the other guys. So Zach Wilson and Will Levis. Thank you. Oh man, I must be getting tired too, dude. Levis has such bad tape after his one. He's only been in the league for 1 year, right?
2.
So that's okay. So he has such bad tape that, like, I think that the only way that he gets a starter, an opportunity to start at this point is that Tennessee is either going to have to cut or trade him, and it'll be to someone else for like a 7th round pick or like a pick swap in the 7th round plus Will Levis, that kind of thing. And he will have the team will basically tell him, we don't know who you're competing with yet, but you have an opportunity to win the job going into camp. I have a hard time believing, with the tape that he has put on already, that Will Levis is going to have access to the coaching and time and patience that it's going to take to get a starter level job. The route to starting for him, in my opinion, is he signs on as a backup. The starter gets hurt, and he puts good tape on. And I think we both agree, injuries are completely random.
Yep.
So I have a hard time saying, like, I'm like betting on Will Levis in order to be able to get an opportunity. So Zach Wilson. Where is Zach Wilson currently playing?
Miami behind injury waiting to happen.
So if you had to rank quarterbacks in the NFL who are one hit away from having their careers be over,
yeah,
Tua Tagovailoa is near the top, if not at the top of that list, right?
Definitely.
So the issue that I have with him being a backup in Miami is not who he's backing up. It's what they ask their quarterbacks to do. And for all the shortcomings that Tua has as a quarterback, the one thing that he is at the top of the NFL in is throwing with anticipation to a spot.
Yep.
And
accuracy.
Go ahead.
Accuracy. Same thing. Yeah.
Correct. And there's no way that Zach Wilson replicates that kind of anticipatory throwing that he has. And I don't know if he can do it well enough to even have the offense function as it's designed to function. If he were like, if Tua gets a hit week 1 and gets a concussion, and Zach Wilson has to play for 4, 5, 6 the whole season, who knows? I don't know. I think they have to change what they're doing offensively to accommodate Zach Wilson when he comes in. So, Isn't the problem with Wilson in Miami simply how hot the moms are? Oh, right. It might be. I mean, the dude might have a wandering eye. Like, I need to be looking at the playbook, but it's Miami. I know I would have a hard time down there. Hey, Brian. Yeah, I'm glad you're still here, buddy. Thank you, guys. You guys are the OG chat members. So, for all of those reasons, I think, just like Jameson Williams, I'm going to bet on the one trait that none of those guys have that Justin Fields has, which is that if you put it into your offense, he can be a 1,000-yard rusher for you on almost any team in the NFL from the quarterback position. And I like that in today's NFL with the Vic Fangio, 2 safeties back, nothing over the top looks, because you can stay in a pass-oriented set, and Justin Fields can at the line recognize that they're in too deep, check to a run blocking scheme, and you don't have to move people around. And I think that will be something like I am dying to see what Aaron Glenn does with Justin Fields in New York. I am 100% that the Jets are taking a right tackle at 7. I am 100%. Like Armand Membo, welcome to you are a New York Jet. Like,
yeah, if he gets that far, yeah,
exactly. So like that to me is like we're going hunting. Okay. Come on, fan man, give him a little credit. Like the dude has been a starter in the NFL for 2 seasons and has played for Mike Tomlin and backed up Russell Wilson. Like, if he cannot identify that they are in a 2-deep shell, he should not be allowed to play in the NFL. I mean, I know it's a joke, and the joke is funny, but he can recognize the 2-deep shell. So, like, I actually quite like Justin Fields in New York, and like I almost wonder if this is where he sticks, because you have Aaron Glenn coach against this guy for 2 years and knows exactly the kind of damage that he can do. And let's not forget, I guess I should say, like, he tore up the Lions twice because of what he can do. And like the Lions ultimately won one of those games when he was basically torching them with his legs. But he can throw a deep ball. So, I mean, if you build your offense to accommodate what he does well, why can Jared Goff do it and he can't? I mean, that's where I'm coming from. Like, I think that Jared Goff in LA was not great over the 4-year span. Had one great year, went to the Super Bowl. They lost faith in him. They gave him an extension, $100 million extension, and then they traded him before he took a snap before the next season. And like, they worked out. They won a Super Bowl. I'm not complaining about them making that trade, but like, he was not great in Detroit his first year. Detroit improves the team around him. He gets a lot better. What I think the same thing is said about Justin Fields. Those Chicago teams were terrible, and like, I think he's got the best coach he's ever played for. I think that there's a plan in New York now. I think they have they're one piece away from having a top 7 offensive line in the NFL. They have a good defense. And if they go into this year and this upcoming draft and like the next year, they could have a really exciting group of skill position players. So, and if you get those skill position players that, if you get the guys that do what he did at Ohio State, by the way, Garrett Wilson went to Ohio State. I mean, like, there's nothing that says you can't tailor an offense to make Justin Fields a starting caliber NFL quarterback. Like, and to me, I would, if you gave me something like, Drew, I'll give you 20-1 odds on any of the other guys as opposed to Justin Fields, I'd still put all my money on Fields.
You think he's closer to a Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, I do.
Smaller Jalen Hurts.
Well, yeah. I mean, Justin Fields is big. But I think Justin Fields, I mean, and I'm still trying to shed this perception. I believe in talent. Like, there's a reason why I'm like, get Jalen Carter. I don't care about the driving thing at Georgia. I just don't. Like, go and get Jamison Williams. I don't give a shit about the betting on things or the fact that he was in a car and somebody had a gun in the car. I just don't give a shit about that stuff. Like, the NFL's proven they're not going to do anything about it. So, like, I'd rather have the more talented guy on my team. And like, when I look at Justin Fields, I'm like, has he realized his potential? No, but you can't look at Justin Fields and say, even if you hate his guts, you can't look at Justin Fields and say you're not talented. I mean, the dude played at Georgia and then Ohio State. Like, I should hate him. And then he was a Chicago Bear. I mean, I should hate his guts. But like, I can hate the jerseys that he's played with. But like, if I watch that guy play football, I'm like, if I'm doing pickup football or whatever, and I have to pick one of the 5 guys, I'm picking Justin Fields because it's just night and day as far as I'm concerned.
He's fun to watch.
It's a great question, dude. So yeah, no, Justin Fields by a mile. It's not even close.
Okay.
Justin Fields by a mile. So, Brian, I really appreciate you stopping by, man. And you're going to be a member of our second 8-man mock here coming up in April. So we're going to see you again real soon. And if you want to jump out right now, you're more than willing to. And because I'm going to do a mock with the guys like Hatters and Fan Man and Brian, who have all hung on to this point. So you want to do it with us?
Oh no, I'm out.
Okay. That's a bummer. All right, man. I really appreciate you hosting with me this week. So
all right, I'll join you again.
All right, see you again soon, man.
Later.
Bye-bye. All right, guys, it's just us now. Let me get set up here. Pretty soon, you know what? Hang on. Let's use a different draft simulator this week. Present, share screen, window. This. So I quite like the Pro Football Network mock draft simulator, and it's because of their draft board. So let's do Lions 7 round. We're only considering the Lions. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Now, the one thing I really like, there's two things I really like about this draft board. Number one, this board feels very chalk to me. This board feels like the right players going at the right spots, in my opinion. Ooh, that's a bummer. Okay, the other thing that I really like, I didn't even add the thing to the. I'm so sorry, guys. Okay, so here we go. So the other thing that I like, and these trades are maybe not 100% the way that you will see trades formatted in real life, but if you find a mock draft simulator that offers trades, or the AI is offering you trades or whatever, the best one that I've experienced is on Pro Football Network. It is closest to what I've actually seen out there. So I quite like this. So let's see if we can. Let's see who's on the board, and then we'll look at trades. So Cam Ward, Carter. Okay, Will Campbell. That's interesting. Travis Hunter goes here. Amar. Okay, Mambu. That makes sense. Doesn't make as much sense, but okay. Interesting. They trade up for McMillan. Interesting. Good pick there. And then Nick Skirton's off the board. Jade Barron's off the board. Gray Zabel's off the board. So who do we have on the board? We've got Derek Harmon. That he is from Michigan. He played at Michigan State, I believe, or at least played at Michigan State. Transferred to Oregon last year. It would be a homecoming, sort of. Who else? Walter Nolan. I know Danny Coates really likes Walter Nolan. I would almost run up to the podium to get Kenneth Grant as a replacement for DJ Reader after this season. Like one season of playing behind DJ Reader into Kenneth Grant, I think would be so good. Donovan Jackson, guard from Ohio State, would be another excellent pick. Mike Green is on the board. I don't think the Lions have any interest in Mike Green. He has sexual assault accusations, one from high school and one from college, which I think takes him off their board. And he just doesn't fit the profile of a pass rusher that they want on the team. So I am not in on guys like Donovan Ezeraku, Mike Green. There's another one. James Pierce from Tennessee. Those aren't my guys. Okay, so I like Harmon, obviously, at the top of the board. Nolan would be great. Kenneth Grant would be great. Donovan Jackson. So I've got 4 legit choices here. Trades. Atlanta wants to move up. They want us to drop down 18 spots. They're going to give us next year's 2 and next year's 4. Or Cincinnati wants us to move up. We drop down 21 spots. We give up, I think that's a 6th round pick. We get 2 top 100 picks and another 2nd round pick next year. So let's just take a look. Who is available around these picks? 46. We've got Carson Schlesinger could be a pick. Jonah Savanaia, Wyatt Millum, Landon Jackson, JT Tuimoloau, Dalik Aomaner, Maxwell Hairston. There are guys there. That's my whole point. So, question: do you feel like Brad is done looking for Ds in free agency? Jacob Burnley, you're a UCLA guy. Jacob, welcome. I don't remember seeing you in chat before, buddy. To answer your question directly, I think that I am more of the opinion that Brad is likely to re-sign players from last year's team. Hard to parse out. Carson Schlesinger, yeah, he's pretty good. I think he's more likely to re-sign guys from last year's team than he is to go out and sign a defensive end who was not on the team last year. I could be wrong. There are still players out there like Calais Campbell, who I would love to see in a Detroit Lions uniform. I haven't taken a look of it available free agents lately, but like as we get closer and closer to the draft, all of those guys become cheaper and cheaper. And I think that Brad is trying to stockpile as much cap space as possible to roll over to 2026 when we have a cap crunch. So I'm going to say I think the betting money is on yes. He's done looking for a DE in this year's free agent. I mean, otherwise, why not keep Zadarius Smith on the roster just for depth? So I think that he is setting up that position group to have players added to it through the draft, and then UDFA's. And then some people, especially like when we get closer to like the end of the preseason, like we'll go cuts, and like somebody might cut someone for some reason. You could add some there, but let's see. So I don't think that I'm interested in any of the trades that are being offered here. Like if I was playing Madden, I would do this shit all the time because I think that like this is 2 second-round picks for one. Like this is 2 second-round picks and a third-round pick for effectively a first-round pick. Like I'm all about that. But I will just reject these 2 trades. I don't think that they're in the best interest of the Detroit Lions. I want to pick Kenneth Grant. Like Aleem McNeil is coming back. He's your primary 3 technique. I am not a Broderick Martin believer. I am not a Roy Lopez believer. Like if you wanted to say you're 3 deep at nose tackle, DJ Reader comes off your books at the end of next season, and you go into 2026 with Kenneth Grant as your penciled in starter and Roy Lopez as your backup, fine. I'm all about that. That's great. But like every position that is not Aiden Hutchinson on this team needs some amount of depth or replacing a starter on the defensive line. And so like I think that we could go super heavy into the defensive line in this draft, and it'd be fine. But like, so what's more important? Is it like, do we need like a backup 3 technique that when Aleem comes back, you can, have him for a rotation, or do you need a replacement for, what's his name? DJ Reader, the more important thing? Like how close are those 2 things? I don't know. But like in my opinion, finding a true nose tackle is tough, and I'm just going to take Kenneth Grant. Like, and I know that I'm going to get the "you're a Michigan fan, you're a homer" kind of stuff, and that's fine. That's kind of true. But like, he's also like a totally legit player that I'm having a hard time seeing get past like Atlanta at 16. So I mean, if he's there on the board at 28, I just think that I should just thank my lucky stars and turn in the card. So I would want a guard here. I could see going defensive line again, especially on the interior. Okay, so we got a draft pick, 1 trade offer. Let's see who's on the board. JT Tuimoloau. I think this guy would be perfect. Oh shit! Now we got a real choice. JT Tuimoloau, even though he's a Buckeye, like I think this guy fits exactly what they want. 6'4", 265. Tuimoloau is a jack of all trades player with an impressive frame and explosiveness while underwhelming as a pass rusher. He should be a steady hand on the outside as an edge setter, and his explosiveness and length occasionally allow him to win through the chest. Is this not the definition of Marcus Davenport? Is that not the definition of Marcus Davenport? Like in his prime, Davenport's better than that. But like this guy sounds like a dude who, if he hits his ceiling, is Marcus Davenport. So thanks. I know I just feel he is making it that he has to be perfect. Oh, I see what you're saying. So Jacob, instead of looking at like he has to be perfect, try to look at it like he's giving himself as much flexibility to add the best Lion-centric player in this draft class. Not necessarily that he's backing himself into a corner when it comes to any one position. Okay. Okay, so I'm taking Joey Maloau. I would really like to take Tate Ratledge here, but I think he's the better player. More the need is greater there. Not a great need. You have betrayed the will of the Force. I have not betrayed the will of the Force. How dare you? I have not. Sorry. So now we don't pick again until the end of the third round, and the true end of the third round after when all the comp picks happen. So Dylan Fairchild just went. He was a guard prospect that I quite liked. Okay, so here we come. They got who else? Okay, we've got a pick. Ooh, that's a lot of picks. So, who have we not taken? We have not taken a 3-tech. We have not taken a guard. So, let's look for those things. None of them exist on this board right now. I don't know how to search. Here we go. Guard. Jackson Slater, 129. That's a bit of a reach. I really like Luke Condra from Cincinnati, but we pick again at 130, and he should still be there on the board. Miles Frazier, Clay Webb are also prospects that I know Eric Schlitt from Pride of Detroit is named as guys the Lions might want to pay attention to. So 3 techniques. All of these guys are nose tackles. Peebles is a guy that I think would fit pretty well as like a rotational 3 technique. So I guess the decision here is we have a trade. We can trade pick 102 for 125, 158, and 181. So we're trading quality for quantity. And is there a guy on the board that we want to take right now? As opposed to just picking up like a bunch of really cheap contracts. Like, do we want a guy on the board right now, like Jordan Birch or Torrey Horton? Or do we want a lot more shots at the brass ring? Anybody have an opinion? We want to make the trade. We don't want to make the trade. Hit me up. I know Hatters has got an opinion. Jacob, if you can hear me still, dude, if you're still watching, like, what would you do in this situation? Love to hear some of this. Mike said that he would chime in, and he is not. No trade. Okay. Jacob, do you have an opinion? You still hear me, buddy? We need quality. All right. I like it. Hatter's not willing to compromise on his beliefs. Okay, I'm going to give this a 5-second countdown for Jacob. 5, 4. No trade. No one wants to trade. Okay. All right. I'm hearing you. Okay. We reject. Okay. So if we're not going to trade, the guy that I think is the clear choice here is Torrey Horton. I don't know that he's the best wide receiver X, but like I just love watching him play football. So 6'2", 196, and he looks skinny. Like many prospects in this class, Torrey Horton has suffered from NFL draft fatigue. People have watched him for 3 cycles now, and he's been somewhat lost to time, but Horton's game hasn't vanished. He's a leggy runner who covers a lot of ground when he hits top gear with some carbon ceramic brakes. Don't know what that means. That let him stop on a dime. Okay. And return toward the line of scrimmage. Horton elevates and high points well while also being a natural separator. Yet he's lean and only average or slightly above average athlete. Which leaves his ceiling as a wide receiver 2 at the next level. Well, the Lions have the Force has given me a vision of trade. All right, let's not invoke the Force all the time, Hatters. We don't know the will of the Force. The Lions' receiving threats in some pecking order are St. Brown, Laporta, Gibbs, Jamison Williams, and then Tim Patrick is like 5th at best, and this is a Tim Patrick replacement for down the line. Like I would love to see what Torrey Horton looks like a year into an NFL weight training program. So I'm going to draft him because I like him, basically. Oh, Pat Bryant. That would have been another good choice. So I would really love to draft Luke. Well, you're probably not going to get him. We haven't been able to find a guard. I guess I could stop and try and trade up. Brad does that shit all the time. Let's do that. Let's pause draft. Let's propose a trade. Let's trade with Jacksonville. Where are you, Jacksonville? Hey. Jackson. There you are, right there. Confirm. I want pick 126. And I will give you picks 196, 228, and 244. Trade has been rejected. They don't like it. Let's try one more time. So I'm going to trade with Jacksonville. I'm going to give you pick 96, and I'm going to give you, let's see, this is round 4. I will give you our worst third round pick next year. Okay. So I'm giving up the, oh no, I pick at 130. Well, I just made a huge mistake. No, I'm going to reject that because I made my bed. Now I got to lie in it. Offense, guard. I'm going to draft Luke Condra. Well, I made a huge mistake, guys. I'm really sorry. Let's see. Oh, I made such a big mistake. Well, Brad certainly has made a lot of mistakes I didn't understand. So I'm going to take RJ Mickens here to be a backup safety. I don't think he'll be there. He might be there in round 4. One thing I did do while I was like, oh, I'm like, what? Yeah, I know. I'm so sorry, dude. One thing I did do while I was going through and listing out Brad's previous drafts is I took a look at like all of his draft day trades. He very much wants to trade up into day 2 as much as he possibly can. And he's the kind of guy, I think, looking at the kind of trades that have been put together in his time in Detroit, that like he doesn't care about the numbers on like the Jimmy Johnson draft chart, that kind of thing. Like this pick's worth so much points. Like he's consistently given up value per that chart in order to get the deal that he wanted. So I think that, so basically what my opinion is that like Brad Holmes overpays when he decides to move up or down in the NFL draft. And that's fine. He's targeting players that he wants on the team. And so if you're going to do that, you are going to have to overpay sometimes. And so like I am such the kind of like trade down, accrue value, like take more bites at the apple. But like I believe that because most teams don't hit as often as he hits, and I'm still trying to come to terms with how often he's successful. So let's see. I really like Craig Woodson from Cal. 6 foot 200, relatively athletic. I think that he would be an excellent backup safety for the Lions. I am a little bit enamored with Jacob Gideon, center from Western Michigan. 6'2", 296, so he's nowhere near as big as Frank Ragnow, but like a lot of experience, and you would have a dedicated backup center. Noel Williams, is he on the board? We can take a look. I love Noel Williams. Like Noel Williams, if Noel Williams is there at the end of the third round, like we're at like pick 102 where the Lions are drafting, like I would have a hard time not just being like, I don't care that he's the 8th corner on the roster. I just kind of want this guy on the team. that's the kind of player that I think he fits the Lions to an absolute T. All right, so let's see. Defense, corner. I have a hard time believing that Noel Williams is ranked behind these players, but he is not still there, unfortunately, Joseph. I'm inclined to take Jacob Gideon from Western Michigan. I would really like to take Craig Woodson from Cal. Jason Marshall from Florida is another good man-to-man corner. Anybody jumping out? Okay, I think I'm going to take the kid from Cal. I don't care. I really like the idea of bringing in two dedicated backup safeties who are on rookie deals, who are going to play through the majority of a Kirby Joseph. I have another pick. What is happening? Yeah, okay. I'll move down 3 spots and get another pick. Okay, so I'm going to take Colin Oliver as a developmental Sam linebacker. Really like Colin Oliver. And do we have a guard or an interior offensive lineman? Anybody? Anybody, feel free to show up. Oh, Donovan Edwards. Noah Fina Tulafono. Let's just go like this. We got cards. Cooper Mays. Centers. Now, I'm not blown away by anybody here. Let's see. Is this guy a blocking tight end? 6'3", 260? Conyers is a better blocker and more physical blocker than given credit for. I don't know if that's the kind of guy that I want. So I'm going to take Nazir Stackhouse because he's 6'3", 327, and just like a depth nose tackle, which I'm not exactly sure that room was completely filled out. No trades. Sorry, Brian. DeRicky Wright. Should have been paying more attention to you guys. I apologize. Okay, so this is our draft. Kenneth Grant, JT Tuimoloau, Torrey Horton, Luke Condra, RJ Mickens, Craig Woodson, Colin Oliver, and Nazir Stackhouse. I don't know that it's the best draft I've ever done, but I like it. I mean, obviously I did it, right? So I mean, it'd be kind of weird to be like, I hate the draft that I just did. But like, nose tackle of the future, like guy playing across from Aiden Hutchinson of the future, developmental wide receiver X, like at 3rd round, like developmental guard, backup safety, never have to worry about that again. Developmental Sam linebacker, maybe the first guy they've drafted to actually be a Sam linebacker. Because I think Fan Man was talking to me about this earlier, but like, I still think that Derek Barnes is a middle linebacker and a depth nose tackle. So like, I guess I'm more into the nose tackle group than I am the 3-tech. Listen, like the 3-tech spot, when people come back and they're no longer injured, the room looks like this year: McNeil and Wuzurike, Wingo, Miles Adams. You know, and like the hard part for me about picking a 3-tech is that like any 3-tech worth his salt is going to be on this. I think it's going to be on the same kind of talent level that Lee McNeil's on. So you just invested a ton of money in McNeil. Do you really want another guy pushing for his snaps like CJ West? From Indiana. Could be a good guy. Saw him play a couple times this year. Good player. Hard to say no. I think this draft is going to be super deep. I think it's going to make it really challenging because, it's like just to use the first round. Like, I don't know if there's a difference between the guy you're drafting at 9 and the guy that you're drafting at 21. And you're going to have to make a decision. And I think that that's tough because there's not going to be a ton of consensus on who's the 9th best player, who's the 21st best player. So I think the Lions are oh my God, my voice is breaking so much. I think the Lions will approach this draft with the idea of going for maximum depth based upon the moves they've made, back to kind of like Jacob's point earlier, back to the moves they've made in the offseason this year. I think that they have solidified their cornerback room. And what else? So they cut Zadarius Smith. They re-sign. They haven't re-signed John Kaminsky. Brad moves up. Okay, Joseph. Excellent. Who do you think he would target to move up? That's super interesting to me. Edge. Okay, do you have an edge player that you like? Let's just run this first round here and we'll just do a little experiment. Oh my God, it's still going. Pause. Okay, Abdul Carter goes 1. Sure. Not going to happen, but sure. Shamar Stewart, who I really, really like, is now off the board. Defense-wise, if we look at edge, I think Michael Williams would be an excellent player to try and move up for. I like Nick Skirton quite a bit, but these are the two guys I would move up for in this class, Williams or Skirton. What do you think? How far would you move up? I'm going to let this run. So we're sitting at 28. Pick 16 is 12 spots. I don't think that's crazy. So let's propose a trade. We're going to trade with Arizona. I want pick 16. I'll give you 28. And what? 60? This is now a third. Oh, this is 2026. Shamar. There must be a delay on when you guys type and when I see it. Pause. Damn it. Okay, so let's try and move up again. So let's go. We're going to trade with Pittsburgh. There you are. So I want 21. I'll give you 28, and I'll give you 102. Proposed trade. Pittsburgh. I want this. You have that. I will give you a future. Would we give up a second round pick next year to move up 7 spots? No, right? I'll give you 102. I'll give you 196. Okay, I don't know that it's going to work out. Fall to us. Yes! This is a great pick. We'll just take Skirtin. All right, let's try this one more time. Lions. We'll just say 3. Enter. Okay, so let's see what happens at 9. So, do you think the Bears will trade with us in the first round? You don't like Michael? So, okay, so let me ask you this, Fan Man. If he gets to Detroit and they teach him how to play low and like they teach and Aiden Hutchinson shows him how to use his hands, how do you feel about him? Way better? Like think about if you draft this guy, what does he look like in year 2? Like I guess that's my question. Damn it, son of a bitch. Ugh. Stupid Bears always fucking shit up. Let's see. Where are the 49ers? Okay, I will give you 28. I want 11. I will give you 60. Wow. Proposed trade. San Francisco. What was the trade that Detroit made to move up from 32? But we fleeced the Vikings in that one. I will give you 102, and I will give you a second round pick next year. You have got to be kidding me. Okay, proposed trade. Atlanta. You have 15. I have 28. I will give you 60 to move up 13 spots. This is ridiculous. The problem is that I'm trying to do like realistic trades and the computer doesn't like it. I will give you 28. I want 15. I will give you a third round pick and a second round pick next year. Come on. Okay, now I'm just Atlanta. Confirm. This, that. Okay, so to move up from 28 to 15, it is taking 2 second round picks. I guess that's not crazy. So now we have a couple of choices. You can take Jalen Walker. He has the build and athletic tools of an inside linebacker, but found success at Georgia being deployed primarily as a blitzing pass rusher. A prospect as athletic as Walker will likely find a successful role in the NFL, but it begs the question of why he wasn't a full-time pass rusher or a full-time middle linebacker. Because of the lack of a specified role, Walker didn't develop the instincts to be a great off-ball linebacker, especially in coverage, and didn't develop fully the hand usage to be a consistent, dominant pass rusher. In the right defensive system with a creative, forward-thinking defensive coordinator, Walker will flourish. So, like, I don't think that this guy's the right guy for the Lions because he's going to occupy the Aiden Hutchinson role, which means like a guy like Michael Williams, 6'5", 260, he's the same size as Hutch, but like Michael Williams is the ideal size and length to project seamlessly as a defensive end in a base 4-3. That's what the Lions run. His explosiveness off the line of scrimmage is impressive, and he's capable of winning as a pass rusher in several ways. Williams pairs his elite physical attributes with red-hot motor. That's a Lions green flag. In a game that's grown a bit over the last 3 seasons. Williams could be a player who starts slow in the NFL but has tremendous growth potential, and there may be no pass rusher in this class with a higher ceiling. He has the potential to reach double-digit sacks, and ultimately that is what you are looking for when drafting a pass rusher in the top half of the first round. Or you go with somebody like Jahad Campbell. And because they re-signed Derek Barnes, I don't think there's a spot for this guy to play. But like this guy, I mean, you could draft this guy to be your eventual Alex Anzalone replacement. but I mean, he might just be like when I watched Michigan's bowl game this last year against Bama, like I kept seeing like Campbell all over the place. I was impressed, but I'm going to take Williams here. Resume. No. So like take Landon and Embo. fearfully like you do about Campbell, he would always be in the right spot and he works very hard, but nothing to protect. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Williams, Michael Williams. Well, we don't have a pick left because I traded all of our picks. So I mean, like, that's the issue when it comes to trading up. Now, I don't think Brad is at all worried about trading up. Like, I don't think that's something that he's like, oh, I just can't do it. You know, like if he thinks Michael Williams is the right fit for the Detroit Lions, and he could be, like, Brad just might go get him. Yeah, and like I think like how I felt when we just did this example, I think that I overpaid to move up to 15 in order to take him. Because drafting depth in the first round is something I've always dreamed Lions could do. Now that we're here, it's kind of uneventful. Be careful what you wish for, I guess. But like you make a wonderful point, fan man. Like, you're drafting a player that you're not going to see play as much, right? I mean, and that's the problem. So I mean, like, of all the positions that like you could see a guy the Lions draft in the first round play a lot of next year, edge 2 is the only position. And there's only so many guys that fit the like 6'5", 260 to 275 frame that the Lions want at that position in there. And so like I think they're going to have an unbelievably small number of guys listed as first round talents. And like I think that list is like Nick Skirton, Michael Williams, Shamar Stewart, and that might be it as far as edge players that they want to look at in the first round. And I don't know who they would look at. I mean, like, I think Jahad Campbell is a quote-unquote Lions type of player. You know, I think Kenneth Grant is a Lions type of player. You know, but like, and there, I mean, like, even if the Lions moved up, even if they were like to like high enough to go get like Mason Graham or somebody, like, okay, but like he plays the same position that McNeil plays. So that's not a fit unless you want to get rid of DJ Reader next year and play 2-3 techs. And like, I mean, that's possible, but like you could have McNeil play nose tackle. He did earlier in his career before Reader got here. And then, you know, maybe that's the switch, you know, and you have a really good 3-tech along. Like, I think McNeil's better as a 3-tech than he is as a nose tackle. Landon, Princely, Birch. Okay, so Landon, I think, is a guy that would be on the Lions' radar, but in round 2. And so I would be like, we're going to take our first round pick at 28, and then when pick 40 rolls around, if Landon is still on the board, I think that you could see them say it's way cheaper to move up in the second round than it is in the first. You know, Princely, I think there's a lot of give and take on opinions with Princely. I like him. Hey, Michael, what's up, man? I had your back on Twitter. Did you see that today? I think there's a lot to like about Princely Umanmielen. But the thing about Princely is I think he's more of an Aiden Hutchinson than he is the Marcus Davenport. And I think that they're in the market for a future Marcus Davenport. If you look at some of the guys they've added to the team, John Kaminsky, Josh Pascal, Marcus Davenport, even guys like Makai Wingo, Levi and Ruzarike are like multi-positional inside outside defensive linemen that they can add to make these really exotic packages. And so I don't think that they're in the market for a backup Aiden Hutchinson because he's going to be on the field 95% of the plays. And if you wanted that guy, they had Zadarius Smith on the roster and they cut him. So that says to me, you're either not in the market for it or you're going to go into the draft and get somebody on a longer term, cheaper deal. So I do think, I guess the argument for Princely Emmanuel is if you took someone like Nick Skirton in round 1 and Princely's there in round 2, you're like, cool, we have backup Aiden Hutchinson for when he needs a breather. Or if we want to go to like a 5 wide pass rush look, something like that. And then Birch is that Jeffrey Birch from Oregon. He is the guy that I know the least about. $8 million roster hit for Zadarius. Yeah, so $8 million roster hit. They're going to save money, but they are 5th in the NFL in cap space right now today. So what are we talking about? I mean, like they have $40 million in cap space. So what I'm saying is they're not a team like Kansas City or Philly or New Orleans that needs to figure out how to get under the cap when the new league year starts. Like they were $30 million under the cap the whole season. Then they were like close to $60 million under, and they've spent some, to get guys back on their roster. They added DJ Reed, that kind of thing. And now we're down to 40. But if they had wanted to keep Zadarius Smith, who they traded for, they could have. So I think the argument is if you keep Zadarius and then once you sign your draft class, you're probably underneath the amount of cap space the Lions want to go into the season with in order to manage their roster and then hopefully roll over to 2026. So to me, that says we're going to be adding a lot of depth guys in the draft. So back to Joseph's question here, like Birch, like if they could do something like my kind of ideal draft, which I think there's almost 0% of, is Micah Williams falls to them at 28. You get Donovan Jackson from Ohio State in round 2, and you get somebody like Landon or Birch, probably Birch, at round 3. And then you just pick up a bunch of like special teamer depth guys on cheap contracts. Like I would love to pick up 2 safeties late. RJ Mickens, the kid from Cal, Craig Woodson. Where does Malachi Moore from Alabama go? And not because I think that they can push either safety, but just because then you have starter level safety, backup level safety, all done, and you don't have to look at it again for years, so. But I mean, this is the fun part about roster construction is just like working through all the possibilities. If depth is going to be prioritized, doesn't trading back if a partner is found become much more likely? So I would say, as a general principle, for if any NFL team wanted to adopt that, I would say yes. When I look at it through the lens of the Detroit Lions, what I see is they are so specific about the people that they want to be on the team that I think they're more inclined to target and go and acquire. So, I think that it's more likely that the Lions trade up a bunch and walk out of this draft with 3 people than it is if they walk out of this class with 8. So there are limited roster spots, but one thing that I am hopeful that Brad Holmes wants to do with the roster is to develop a consistent stream of compensatory picks, which would mean that you need guys who eventually you simply let walk into free agency. So what I am hoping that this class is a bunch of guys who have the ability to ascend to a starter level role that then you can either, when they hit their second contract, they can enter free agency, or you offer them an extension and your current starter, like who knows who it is, like Jack Campbell, or I don't know, pick a guy. Like you could let them walk into free agency, and then they get signed because they've done good things. So I want to be able to give Brad a consistent amount of additional draft capital so that he can do whatever he wants in whatever draft class we have. If you want to trade picks in a future year to draft players this year, here's some compensatory picks, Brad. Have fun. Go crazy. Hey, Brad, do you want to go from 32 to 12 to take a receiver who wrecked his knee late in the season? Yeah, go ahead. Here's some compensatory picks to help that happen. I don't think that you get there. I mean, like, you can have San Francisco's model, right? San Francisco had like 11 guys go into free agency this year because they can't pay any of them. So like they are going to get a bunch of compensatory picks, but their roster is gutted and they have no money. But can Brad maintain salary cap flexibility to any degree and develop compensatory picks? I mean, that's what I'm looking for. They are specific, but Brad also has the best feel for the board of any GM. He traded back and still gotten his guys as well. So I feel like when I read that, almost the entire opinion is based on him getting St. Brown and Barnes in the 21 class. Am I wrong? So I'm having trouble identifying a time that he's traded down and got his guy, because I'm Gibbs. Okay. Yeah, I think that fits into your. I think that fits into this. So, you have a point. I guess that I would say I feel Brad, especially on day 2, is way more apt to trade up to target a player. Because I think it's just more difficult to target a player when you trade back. When you trade back, I think you're saying we are comfortable with multiple situations that develop between where we were and where we're trading to. Like between 6 and 12 is not a huge deal, right? That's fine. Like you can control, like you can reasonably guess who's taking whom and who might be available that you're comfortable with in that range. That's fine. I think they have, like, when it comes to Barnes and St. Brown, I think they basically said, like, we would love it to get these guys on the roster. If they're there at this pick, we will draft them, which is, to me at least, different than saying we want a Broderick Martin in round 3, we're going to go get him, or we want Giovanni Manu, Sione Vaki, we're going to trade up for Jameson Williams. Who else? We'll trade up for Brian Branch. That kind of thing. So semantics, but trying to figure out what Brad's going to do is like trying to grab the wind. I'm rewatching some Michael Williams tape. I want him even less. Lack of bend, poor bull rush. Even on the highlights, he eventually wins on long coverage sacks. I don't think I want Michael even in the second. here's the so that's a completely valid opinion, fan man. Like, and I hear what you're saying. You're taking what you're seeing and you're projecting it with the Lions. Understandable. I would be willing to bet that if the Lions drafted Michael Williams by year 2, at some point in year 2, I bet that he would have changed that opinion. That's about all I'm willing to say. Positional value and having Branch lets Kirby walk. Like, I think, like, I would agree, but Brad basically said, like, the dude's like a legit guy on the roster, and like sang his praises in his end of the season press conference. And like, I would do that. I mean, that makes sense to me if I'm a GM. I like Kirby Joseph, but I would let him walk. But I think Brad's going to resign him. He has yet to say something like, this dude's legit, this guy's a liar, and he's everything that we represent, and then not resign him. That's basically what I'm basing my opinion on. I agree, yes. I think I'm just thinking of a potential first-round trade back, then moving up later on. See, and I think that's a great strategy. Like at 28, or if I'm getting a pick 28, I want to trade down into the second round and get another day 2 pick. Like, I don't care. Let it be the last pick in the third round. I don't give a shit. Like, I want as many top 100 picks as I can get my hands on. And like for the Lions, if you trade down from 28 to say, let's say 35, I don't know who has 35, but like, let's say that you trade down to 35, the difference in what you're paying that guy is legitimate. And like, go look at what Brian Branch is earning over the first 4 years of his deal. It's nothing. I mean, like, you could give him all 4 years of his rookie deal for what he did last season, and he's still being underpaid. So, I mean, you're getting such a good deal on second round guys that, like, and this draft seems deep enough where it's just like, I'll take a guard here or a center there or a defensive tackle or I don't know, off-ball linebacker. And it's like, okay, that's fine. You're just getting a great deal. Okay, so let's see. What else we got? A lot cheaper moving up 9 spots in the end. Yeah, that's a good point. And Brad has shown that he's willing to do that. Like, I'll trade back to trade up. Like, he's done that a number of times. Or especially over the last 2 drafts. Doesn't that feel exactly like how we felt about Jack Campbell? No thanks. Yeah, I know. I get it. It is. So, but the thing that I'm trying to do, fan man, is I'm trying to align how I feel with what I think Brad Holmes has shown me he's willing to do, right? So it's not what I think. I mean, like, the Lions only ever drafted like one player that I wanted them to pick when I wanted to pick them, and that was Aiden Hutchinson. And like a 6-year-old could have made that selection. It's not hard. So, I mean, I think that this class could easily have a bunch of picks that people are like, what? Really? And then 2 years in, we're like, oh, Jesus Christ, these guys are like legit guys, like, I didn't see it with Gibbs and Campbell and Laporta and Branch. Like, Branch was the only one that I was like, I really want this guy in the team. You can take him at 18. The other 3 guys, I was just like, oh my God, like, I'm the little kid in the grocery store who gets his ice cream cone knocked out of his hand and his balloon popped. Like, that was who I was, and I'm happy because those guys are legit players. I think there's going to be a lot of that in this class. Conspiracy is that Z will come back as a shorter deal that pays him well, but lets him out of the season. So, oh yeah, I think that's maybe not even a conspiracy theory, Brian. I think that's maybe just like a solid move that the team could make, and probably in Za'Darius's best interest too. Like, paying him $8 million to be a backup is crazy, but like, what if you paid him $4 million and gave him like an incentive laden deal that said something like, if you get 6 sacks and you're Aiden Hutchinson's backup, you'll earn another $1 million a sack, or I don't know. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson's going to play almost 1,000 snaps. I mean, there's not a ton of availability. So something like an incentive laden deal is there, but like, I mean, there's a lot of teams out there that I would be like, oh, I can sign Zadarius Smith for under $10 million. Okay. Like, why is Atlanta not signing him right now? You know, that kind of thing. Totally Catching the Wind with Holmes sounds like a great podcast. Oh yeah. So, I mean, I appreciate that. So we asked ChatGPT to name our show when we rebranded. So I don't know that ChatGPT's got the poetry in it that Catching the Wind with Holmes has, but I mean, I am a poet at heart. So, anyways, guys, we are deep into the weeds here. I could talk to you guys forever, but I am losing my voice a tiny bit, and we are over 2.5 hours in. So, just kind of give you an idea of what we have coming up. We don't know what we're doing next week. Hopefully, there will be some news in the NFL. Probably do another mock draft. So if you guys have any suggestions or whatever, we should have a Discord out there in one of our show notes. Please feel free to jump in and drop some opinions in the show notes. Oh, thanks, Joseph. I appreciate that, man. You can leave comments in the YouTube channel to let us know what you guys are thinking. If you have a thought you want to see on the show or like a take that we can talk about, we'd always love to hear it. We are going to be doing our second mock post free agency the week before the draft. So if I'm looking at my calendar correctly, that should be about 3 weeks out. March into April. The draft is the 24th, so we will be looking at the 15th, maybe even the 22nd, depending on scheduling. Gibbs as well. Oh, I've scrolled up somehow. So that's definitely coming up. So if you like the 8-man mock draft, we've got another one of those coming up this year. If you want to be a part of the 8-man mock draft, you really got to let us know somehow. So like, you either got to get on the Discord, leave a comment in the YouTube comments, or just constantly talk about it in the chat when we're on. And we can reach out to you to get contact information and see if we can make you a part of it. We definitely didn't have 8 guys last time. We were too short. We might have 8 this time, but we will be looking for one alternate. And if you guys have any ideas for stuff to talk about, I mean, obviously it would be a break for me not to have to come up with all this great content. So anyways, appreciate you guys. We'll be back next week, Tuesday, 7 Eastern. When I love it, fan man. So I appreciate you doing that. Love you guys. Hope you guys have a great week. See you next week. One Pride.